She calls him lonely. Her friends call him damaged. Her family calls him a red flag. But here is what none of them will say out loud. He is the most intentional, self-aware, and psychologically evolved man in the room. And their inability to accept that reveals far more about them than it does about him. Today, I am breaking down the truth women refuse to accept about single older men. And by the end, you will understand why the narrative about single men over 60 is not just wrong, it is deliberately wrong, and who benefits from keeping it that way. Here is the cultural script women are handed about single older men. He is damaged. He is emotionally unavailable. He is selfish. He cannot commit. Something is wrong with him. And women repeat this script so automatically, so confidently, that most men start believing it themselves. They start apologizing for choices they should be proud of. They start explaining themselves to people who have never earned the right to that explanation. But here is the truth nobody is saying. Single older men are not broken, they are selective. And there is a fundamental difference between those two things that women consistently refuse to acknowledge. His solitude is an achievement, not a failure. Here is what women do not understand about a man who is 65 and single by choice. That solitude was not handed to him. He built it, deliberately, often painfully. He spent decades in relationships, marriages, and partnerships. He knows exactly what relationships cost, what they demand, and what they take. And he made a conscious decision that what he was getting in return was not worth what he was paying. That is not failure. That is the most sophisticated cost-benefit analysis a human being can make. A psychologist who works exclusively with senior men told me this: the men I see who are single by choice at 65 are almost universally the most psychologically developed men I work with. They know who they are. They know what they want, and they have refused to compromise on either. That is not damage. That is maturity. But women cannot accept this, because if his solitude is an achievement, then she cannot offer him completion, and that removes her primary source of leverage. So instead, she calls it damage, because damage can be fixed. And if she can fix him, she becomes necessary. But a complete man does not need fixing, and that terrifies women who built their identity around being needed. He is not emotionally unavailable. He is emotionally selective. Women use emotionally unavailable as a catch-all explanation for any man who does not immediately open up or commit on her timeline. But here is the reality. Emotionally unavailable means incapable of connection, incapable of vulnerability, incapable of depth. What single older men actually are is emotionally selective. They are capable of profound connection. They have experienced it, built it, and lost it. And they have learned something crucial. Emotional openness without emotional safety is self-destruction. They have been vulnerable with women who weaponized that vulnerability. They trusted people who sold their secrets. So they stopped opening up immediately. Not because they cannot, but because they have learned not to until trust is proven. One 68-year-old told me, "I am not emotionally unavailable. I am emotionally protected. I have been vulnerable with the wrong people too many times. Now I wait. I watch." Women call that unavailability. I call it wisdom. The truth they refuse to accept is that his emotional protection is not a wall keeping love out. It is a gate that only opens for people who have earned the key. His standards are not unrealistic. They are the result of experience. These men know exactly what works for them and what does not. They have lived the consequences of ignoring red flags, of hoping someone would change, and of settling because the alternative seemed worse. A 66-year-old told me, "People say my standards are too high, but I have been in relationships with women who did not meet those standards. I know exactly what that costs. My standards are not high, they are specific, and the difference is everything." His standards are not about finding perfection. They are about avoiding known destruction. And a woman who cannot meet those standards does not get to call them unrealistic. She gets to acknowledge they are not a match. That is not his failure. That is just reality. His independence is not loneliness in disguise. This is perhaps the most persistent lie women tell about single older men. That beneath the contentment, there is a lonely man desperately wishing someone would rescue him. It is projection, pure and simple. Women who cannot imagine being happy alone assume no one can be. So, when they see a man genuinely content in his solitude, they pathologize it, diagnose it as denial, suppression, or fear. But here is what single older men have that partnered men in mediocre relationships do not. Sovereignty, complete uncompromised sovereignty over their own life. One 70-year-old said this: "Women keep telling me I must be lonely. But I was lonely in my last relationship, surrounded by someone every day and completely alone because we had nothing real. Now I have real, just with myself, and that is enough." His independence is not a coping mechanism. It is a lifestyle he has chosen, built and refined, and it does not need her validation to be legitimate. He is not running from commitment. He is running towards something better. When women see a single older man who is not interested in committing, the automatic interpretation is fear. He is afraid of commitment, afraid of vulnerability, afraid of love. But what if he is not running from anything? What if he is running towards something, toward peace that cannot be disrupted, toward financial security that cannot be legally dismantled, toward mornings that start exactly how he wants them to start? A therapist who works with senior men said this: "Choosing yourself is not avoiding relationships. It is having a relationship with yourself." And for many men at this age, that is the most important relationship they have ever had. His commitment to himself is not a consolation prize. It is what he chose when he finally understood his own value. And a man who knows his own value does not give it away to someone who cannot recognize it. But here is what he owes himself to be honest about. This is the truth that challenges the man watching this. Not the women in his life, him. Because not every single older man is single by deliberate, sovereign choice. Some are single because they have never fully examined what they bring to a relationship. Some have used the language of selectivity to avoid the discomfort of genuine vulnerability. Some have confused isolation with independence and bitterness with wisdom. The difference matters. A man who is genuinely complete knows the difference between protecting his peace and punishing others for wounds they did not inflict. He does not need to call women broken to feel whole. He does not need an audience to validate his solitude. He does not need a script that tells him he has evolved just because he is alone. Real sovereignty is quiet. It does not need to prove itself. It does not need to win arguments about who is damaged. It just lives fully without performance. So, if this resonated because it validated something true about your life, good. But if it resonated because it gave you language to avoid looking inward, that is worth sitting with. The most intentional men are not just selective about who they let in. They are ruthlessly honest about who they are. Here is the truth women refuse to accept, wrapped up simply. He is not damaged. He is deliberate. He is not lonely. He is sovereign. He is not emotionally unavailable. He is emotionally protected. He is not afraid of commitment. He is committed to something they cannot compete with: himself. Complete men do not need completing. They need someone equally complete who chooses to share space with them, not fix them, not save them, just exist alongside them, authentically without agenda, without leverage. And the women who can offer that will not call him damaged. They will recognize him for exactly what he is: the most intentional man they have ever met. If this exploration of the modern man's sovereignty has changed the way you view the path of solitude, please subscribe and like this video. We are uncovering the psychological truths that society often tries to bury. Stand firm in your value and continue to cultivate your own future. The next treasury of insight will open soon.